I know, a lot of you are probably thinking, how dare she compare those two? But please hear me out. I love Sasha. Her introduction scene as Potato Girl was just so adorably dorky, and I could relate really well to her clumsiness and awkwardness around people. In contrast, I hated Gabi from minute 1, because the first line we get from her is exposition. After Falco's convenient concussion, she gets to explain the whole operation. Yeah, not my favorite moment. But aside from that, her not being very likable was intentional. She's obviously supposed to be season 1 Eren, but from Molly. However, what worked in Eren's favor was that we could see why he hated his enemies, the Titans, with such a passion. I mean, I don't think I'd feel much different about Titans if I had to watch one of them eat my mom in front of me. In short, Eren had a relatable reason for his hatred. In Gabi's case, well, we know the enemy she fights and hates as the characters we followed and came to care about over the course of 3 seasons. Also, the only reason Gabi hates them is because of what she's been told about them. And what makes it worse is that she kills her enemies to get praised by the higher-ups in the military, not just so she can survive. So that makes her motivation not relatable like Eren's, but instead it leaves a very bad taste in your mouth. And I think that's why pretty much everyone hates her from the get-go. To us, she's just a stupid child that was fed Marleyan propaganda with an unjustified feeling of self-righteousness. So yeah, while I really don't like Gabi herself, I actually love what Isayama did with her character and the way he paralleled her not only with Eren but also Sasha. Gabi is just as fanatic as Eren when it comes to fighting the fight she sees as just. In that regard, Sasha is very different from those two. The only times we see Sasha being fanatic over anything, it's food. When it comes to the war, she's rather pragmatic. She does what it takes for her and those around her to survive, but never goes further than that. During the attack on Marley, Sasha kills armed guards, but she spares who she sees as just a little girl, Gabi. Tragically, in the end, Sasha gets killed by that same girl. And it's also tragically ironic that when Gabi kills Sasha, she's at a point in her character development that Sasha had to overcome as well. Sasha wasn't a fanatic, indoctrinated soldier like Gabi, but she too used to lack empathy. Back when she hadn't joined the military yet, Sasha really didn't like outsiders. She hated them for making fun of how her people lived. And she hated the refugees for taking what used to be hers. In Sasha's eyes, it was their own fault for losing what was theirs, and that it didn't give them the right in turn to take away what's hers. By the way, among those refugees she's talking about are Mikasa, Armin, and Eren. But because Sasha didn't know them yet, she didn't have a shred of empathy for them. Much like Gabi, she just didn't see the full picture back then. Sasha's father, on the other hand, was willing to give up the forest to help those who lost their homes. He was willing to give up something he cherished in order to help those in need. Sasha doesn't agree with him. She is furious at this suggestion, because giving up the forest would mean giving up being hunters. It would mean giving up who they are. She only sees what she personally could lose, not what they together might gain. Sasha's father is very sad that she thinks like that, which is why he asks her, "Is it that hard for you to leave this forest behind and get along with others?" In the end, her father decides that giving up the forest and raising horses for the military instead is the better choice. Because of her father's decision, Sasha joins the military in retaliation. At first, she really does have a hard time getting along with others. Sharing is pretty hard for her. But among the cadets, she meets some of those refugees she used to hate, and even becomes friends with them. Similar to Gabi, who lived with the Browse family. Both Sasha and Gabi get to know those people for whom they lacked empathy before, and realized that what they initially thought of them was wrong. And who could forget the day that Sasha saves the little girl called Kaya, who would later become part of her own family. This scene gives me chills every time I see it. The same goes for the scene when Gabi saves Kaya. Again, this scene shows that like Sasha, Gabi has also overcome her flaws and is finally able to do the right thing. Sasha and Gabi are not just alike because they both saved Kaya, but because of the character development they underwent to get to that point. Kind of like Kaya, I still hate Gabi for killing Sasha, but I also want to defend her. Gabi was an awful person because she didn't know better. She was an impressionable child that is meant to show us just how dangerous propaganda can be, and how important it is to listen to the other side. Otherwise, we will never be able to leave the forest. I really admire how much Isayama teaches us about empathy with those characters. Let me know what you think about their character development in the comments. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please give it a thumbs up and maybe even subscribe to the channel if you want to get notified once I post a new video. And thank you so much for watching this one. Anyway, farewell.